The fascinating mythology of Seth. Egyptian mythology is filled with fascinating gods, but few capture attention as much as Seth, also known as Set. This god, with his peculiar appearance and contradictory role, defies expectations and leaves many wondering, who really was Seth and why is he considered so strange? Get ready for a journey into the world of Egyptian myths and discover all about this intriguing figure. And stay until the end to learn more about how Seth shaped the history and mysteries of ancient Egypt. The uncommon appearance of Seth. One of the most striking features of Seth is his visual representation. He is often depicted with a human body and the head of an animal that does not resemble any known creature. This animal, known as the animal of Seth, has a long snout, pointed ears, and a completely enigmatic shape. To this day, Egyptologists debate which creature could have inspired this depiction, but no definitive conclusion has been reached. Some suggest that Seth's animal might be a fusion of different creatures known to the Egyptians, such as an antelope, a jackal, or even a type of hyena. But none of these theories have unanimous acceptance. This uncertainty surrounding his representation adds another element of mystery to his figure. Seth's figure stands out among the other gods of the Egyptian pantheon precisely because of this uniqueness. Unlike other deities, like Horus, who were depicted with heads of specific and recognizable animals, Seth is associated with a creature that cannot be easily identified. This detail is not merely a visual curiosity. It carries a deep symbolic meaning, reflecting the god's inherently chaotic and unsettling nature. While gods like Horus or Amon were depicted with heads of real animals, Seth's head reinforces his role as the god of chaos, something beyond common understanding, an uncontrollable force that challenges known limits. His uncommon appearance, with its strange and disconcerting features, can be seen as a metaphor for Seth's own power. He is a figure who transcends the rules and categories that govern the world of Egyptian gods. The disorder and chaos, represented by this unsettling appearance, makes Seth an entity that is difficult to understand or fully dominate. He does not fit into established norms, just as chaos and destruction do not fit into the more rigid orders of society or the cosmos. Furthermore, Seth's appearance may symbolize his alien nature and his relationship with lack of control. In a world where deities were generally depicted with more familiar forms like known animals, Seth's unusual shape brings a sense of something strange and disconcerting. He is the outsider, the unknown, and this is a central characteristic of his nature, always outside the box, defying the conventional and the expected. This visual characteristic can also suggest that Seth, while being a vital force for cosmic balance, is a threatening, uncomfortable, and even mysterious presence for humans. His form, both strange and powerful, serves as a visual reminder that the force of destruction and renewal he represents is beyond human understanding, and that for the universe to function properly, chaotic forces must also be recognized and respected. Seth's iconography is therefore much more than a simple artistic representation. It is a window into the complexity and ambiguity of his divine personality. Seth, the god of chaos and contradiction. Seth is undoubtedly one of the most intriguing and complex figures in Egyptian mythology. Widely recognized as the god of chaos, disorder, storms, and violence, he occupies a unique place in the Egyptian pantheon. These striking characteristics place him in direct opposition to other gods who symbolize order, such as Osiris and Maat. Despite this, his story reveals that he also played fundamental and paradoxical roles in the balance of the universe. Among the most emblematic myths involving Seth is his rivalry with Osiris. In this tale, Seth murders his brother in a dispute for the throne of Egypt, an act of treachery that triggers disorder and chaos. He not only takes Osiris's life but also dismembers his body and scatters the pieces across the Egyptian land. This narrative is central to understanding Seth as a figure of opposition, an agent of destruction and disorder, whose actions profoundly shaped Egyptian mythology. This brutal act positions him as one of the first known mythological villains. However, the impact of his betrayal goes beyond the simple act of violence, symbolizing the constant struggle between opposing forces. such as order and chaos, life and death. Although Seth is widely known for his destructive actions, he also has a heroic side that contrasts with his reputation as the god of chaos. In specific contexts, Seth was seen as a protector of the pharaoh and defender of Egypt's borders against external threats. This role reinforces his importance in maintaining the balance between the forces of the universe, showing that even personifying chaos, he had indispensable functions for the maintenance of order. A notable example of his heroic role is his participation in Ra's nightly journey through the underworld. During this passage, Seth played a crucial role in combating the serpent Apophis, an embodiment of absolute chaos and destruction. This symbolic struggle against Apophis demonstrates that Seth, despite his chaotic nature, was essential in protecting the stability of the cosmos and ensuring the eternal cycle of day and night. What makes Seth so fascinating is his intrinsic duality. He is both a destroyer and a protector, a villain in one narrative and a hero in another. This contradiction reflects the Egyptian view of the universe, where chaos and order coexist as complementary forces. Seth is the necessary chaos for order to have meaning. He is the conflict that drives balance. His paradoxical nature is also represented in his relationship with other gods. While his rivalry with Osiris and Horus is central to the myths, his loyalty to Ra and his dedication to fighting Apophis show that he cannot be reduced to a mere antagonist role. Seth is a primordial force, essential to the dynamics of the Egyptian universe. Seth is a personification of the challenging and unpredictable aspects of existence. He reminds us that chaos, although feared, is a vital part of the cosmic order. Without chaos, there would be no change or renewal. His presence in myths not only creates conflicts but also enables resolutions, balance, and continuity. Thus, Seth's legacy is one of contradiction, complexity, and depth. He is a figure that transcends simple definitions and challenges us to see chaos in our own lives as a force for transformation and balance. The worship and rejection of Seth. The relationship of the ancient Egyptians with Seth was deeply complex and filled with contradictions, reflecting his multifaceted role in the myths. During certain periods, Seth was widely venerated as a powerful and protective force, while at other times he was rejected and associated with negative and destructive aspects. This duality in the perception of Seth demonstrates the versatile and changing nature of his influence in Egyptian thought. Seth was seen as an essential god for the protection of Egypt. He was invoked as the guardian of the kingdom's borders, protecting it against invasions and external threats. His unmatched strength and unpredictable nature were considered necessary attributes for combating enemies, both earthly and supernatural. Additionally, Seth was associated with the protection of the pharaoh. Many Egyptian kings believed that invoking Seth would ensure victory in battles and safety against traitors. His position as a defender reinforced his importance, especially in a time when Egypt's survival depended on a delicate balance between internal and external forces. During the New Kingdom, the view of Seth began to change drastically. He became associated with evil and foreign forces, a reflection of political and cultural shifts in Egyptian society. This transformation was, in part, influenced by the growing hostility between Egypt and foreign peoples, such as the Hyksos, who at times adopted Seth as their main deity. Thus, Seth began to symbolize the external threat and betrayal, distancing himself from the protective image he once had. This period also saw an increase in Seth's association with elements of disorder and chaos. His connection to betrayal, especially due to the Osiris myth, reinforced his image as a dangerous and unpredictable god. Even so, this rejection was not universal, and his worship continued in certain regions, such as Ombos, where Seth was revered as an indispensable force for cosmic balance. Despite changes in his reputation, Seth was never completely rejected in Egypt. In some regions, he continued to be worshipped into later times. This was in part due to the Egyptian understanding that chaos was a necessary part of universal balance. Seth, as the personification of chaos, could not be entirely excluded from the pantheon, as his strength was essential to maintaining order. The fact that Seth maintained followers even during periods of rejection demonstrates his resilience as a divine figure. He was a god who, although feared, was also respected for his ability to bring transformation and renewal. The relationship of the Egyptians with Seth offers us a fascinating view of how ancient societies dealt with contradictory forces. Seth was both the defender and the traitor, the protector and the enemy. This duality reflects the complexity of the human condition, where positive and negative aspects coexist and are indispensable for balance. Seth reminds us that even the most destructive forces can have a constructive role. His worship and rejection throughout the history of Egypt show how perceptions can change over time, influenced by social, political, and cultural factors, but also highlight the enduring relevance of his figure as one of the most enigmatic gods of ancient Egypt. Why Seth continues to fascinate. The appeal of Seth goes beyond his role in Egyptian mythology. He represents the complexity of the human condition, the constant struggle between order and chaos, good and evil, destruction and renewal. His ambivalence makes us reflect on how even the darkest aspects have their place in the balance of the universe. In many cultures, the presence of chaos is seen as something to be avoided or eradicated, but in the Egyptian context, Seth symbolized that destruction, far from being merely evil, was also part of a cycle of transformation and rebirth. His power to create disorder was not a purely destructive force, but rather a way of challenging the status quo, driving movement and growth. This duality is what makes Seth such an intriguing and eternal figure. He is not a god easily classified as good or evil. His portrayal as the god of chaos, but also as the protector of Egypt in times of need, creates a tension that resonates with the human experience. Each of his actions, whether the destruction of Osiris or his role as the pharaoh's defender, challenges us to question how opposites complement each other and how often destruction is necessary to create something new. The uniqueness of Seth is what makes him so memorable. His enigmatic animal head, his enormous strength, and his extreme and unpredictable acts invite us to explore the mysteries of ancient Egypt and understand how the Egyptians viewed the world around them. His figure, so distinct among the Egyptian gods, reflects the perception of a dynamic universe where the forces of destruction and renewal coexist in an unstable yet essential balance. Seth is not just a mythological god. He is a reflection of the uncertainties and internal conflicts of the Egyptians, as well as the invisible forces that shape the destiny of the world. Another factor that increases the fascination around Seth is his longevity as a central figure in various religious and cultural expressions, even in the face of his transformation from protector to god associated with evil. He remains a figure of study and reflection because his presence reminds us of the ambiguity of human and divine nature. Throughout Egyptian history, Seth was at the center of events that challenged conventions and paved the way for renewal. His constant adaptation to Egyptian reality reflects how societies deal with change, assimilating and transforming their beliefs according to needs and circumstances. Even today, the mystery surrounding Seth and his unique position in the Egyptian pantheon continues to fascinate historians, theologians, and those seeking to understand the thought patterns of ancient civilizations. He personifies an essential human characteristic, the ability to be simultaneously destructive and creative, beneficial and harmful, depending on the circumstances. Seth, with his complexity, invites us to look beyond simple notions of morality and accept that the universe, like human life, is multifaceted and unpredictable. Did you like learning more about Seth, the Egyptian god of chaos and contradictions? If you want to continue exploring the secrets of Egyptian mythology and learn more about gods, myths, and fascinating stories, subscribe to our channel now. There's always something new and amazing to discover here. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any updates.